ISB admission process and selection criteria. I know you have been asking for this video for a really long time, so let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Insider Gyaan. My name is Soumi. I'm an IIT Delhi and ISB Hyderabad grad, and on this channel I share my career experiences. I share a lot of information on different kind of MBAs so that it can help some of you guys in your career path. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so ISB admission criteria. This whole video, I am going to divide it into 4 sections. Number 1 is the eligibility criteria for ISB PGP, which is the flagship program of ISB. Number 2, what is the admission process? What are the different steps that you have to take? Number 3 is the most important, which is the selection criteria. And this is going to be most helpful for you to understand so that you can tailor your application accordingly. And if you stick around till the end, I am going to share a pro tip which is not available on ISB website and is a question that has come only from experience for me. Only MBA coaches will be able to tell you this. Okay, so do stick around till the end. Let's get started. Part 1 is eligibility criteria. So basically, there are 3 ways you can apply to ISB. Number 1 is the normal route, where the eligibility is that you would have completed 24 months of WorkX. 2 saal tak you would have already had some WorkX, and after that, you get a GMAT score and you apply to ISB. So that's the normal route. Number 2 is what they call the EEO, or the early entry option. So basically, if you still haven't completed 24 months of WorkX, you can still apply for ISB and you can go through the whole process. You need a GMAT score to apply. If you make it in, then ISB is going to defer your admission till the time when you have completed 24 months. So after that, you can join ISB in that specific class. Then there's a third way to apply as well, which is called the YLP program, or the Young Leaders program. This is mainly for college students in their pre-final or final year. So this is where you would have already hopefully gotten some leadership skills, developed some leadership skills, and you are very clear that you want to do an MBA in future. You can apply to ISB as well. You do not need a GMAT score at this stage. And if you make it into ISB through the YLP program, later you will have to submit a valid GMAT score, and again, your admission is deferred. So after you have completed 24 months of WorkX, only in that specific class of ISB you will get admission. Moving on to part 2, which is the admission process. Now, usually there are 2 to 3 rounds of application at ISB. पहले 2 होता था, अब उन्होंने एक 3rd round भी शुरू कर दिया है. You can apply in any round, and the process across all the 3 rounds is exactly the same. First, you have to give your GMAT so that ISB gets your GMAT score officially from GMAT themselves. Then the second step is that you have to submit the online application. Now, within the online application, there are a lot of details that you have to fill in, which includes your academics, any kind of awards and achievements you have had, any kind of certifications that you have, your 12th boards, your 10th boards, what is your current WorkX, like what are you working as, details about that. Along with that, you also have to submit 2 or 3 essays. Some years they also do a video essay, like a 1-minute video, but other years they really don't. You have to submit a resume, and you also have to submit some letters of recommendation, which you can take either from your professors if you are applying through YLP, or even if you're not applying through YLP, if you have some good recommendations from professors, you can submit that, or you can have some of your current colleagues or bosses to submit a letter of recommendation for you. After the application, there's a shortlisting process. A few candidates are called for interviews. After the interview is when there's the final list of admits, that each round will have a different set of admits that ISB publishes. Moving on to the last part of the video, which is the selection criteria, and this is probably going to be the most important for you to understand. There are 3 things which ISB is looking for based on their website itself. Okay, so this is coming directly from the horse's mouth, basically. Number 1 is academics. Now, ISB wants to ensure that if you get selected into the program, you can survive the academic rigor that ISB has itself, because it's a 1-year program, it's very jam-packed, and they need people who can learn fast also, right? So they are looking for people with a good GMAT score or GRE score. So that is definitely one aspect of academics. Also, 10th marks, 12th boards, and your undergrad marks. Now, having said that, the more work-ex you have, the importance of these 10th, 12th undergrad marks becomes a little less important in the profile. But these are the things that constitute your academics. Apart from that, if you have any kind of certifications like CA or CFA, that also should go into this bucket, which is academics. Number 2 is leadership potential. Now, ISB is obviously an MBA program, and MBA programs are creating leaders of the future, right? So they want people who have already displayed some kind of leadership traits in the past, which means that through your essays, through your letter of recommendation, through your work-ex, it should come out very clearly that you are a leader. You have some kind of leadership traits. Leadership is not only about team management. It can also be proactiveness, independence, starting a new initiative. There could be various empathy. There could be various aspects of leadership, and they're looking for all of those things in you. The last thing that they're looking for is personal attributes or diversity. So basically, जब कोई भी MBA college एक cohort बनाती है, they're looking for people from different areas so that the entire group can learn from each other in meaningful ways. And that's where diversity comes into play. So how can you display diversity? Diversity can be in terms of work-ex. For example, in India, a lot of engineers apply for ISB, right? So if you're not an engineer, you are already a little diverse from the peer group that's applying to ISB. Diversity could also be in terms of your extracurriculars or, the kind of things that you have done other than working or, studying. Lastly, it could be diversity in your nationality, like if you're a foreigner or if you have had some international exposure, that's diversity, plus educational diversity as well, which is of course this engineer, non-engineer thing. But a lot of, for example, doctors apply, a lot of media professionals, a lot of hospitality students apply for ISB, and ISB appreciates, like they consider it as diversity points when they are selecting you into the cohort. Diversity could also be in the number of years of work-ex, which means in ISB, people are ranging from 2 to 3 years of work-ex to say 10 to 14 years of work-ex as well. So within each of your peer group, if you're standing out, you stand a good chance of getting selected. Now, obviously, I know your next question is going to be, how much weightage does each of these things have? Or what is a good profile, or what is a good GMAT score? Now, the ISB website doesn't provide any of those things. And that is because there is no ground rule that you have to have a 720 GMAT score to get into ISB. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. They're looking for whole-rounded profiles, which also means that if you have really good academics, but maybe average leadership or diversity, you can still get into ISB. Or if you are a little poor in academics, but you have good leadership skills, you have great diversity points, even then you can make it into ISB. So it's looking for overall, and that's a subjective thing. It really depends on, year to year, who is applying, your peer group, but also what the admission committee or ISB alums, because most of the ISB interviews are done by ISB alums, see in you. Okay, now time for the pro tip. Now, this is not something that ISB mentions in their application, but one thing that is very, very, very important for you to prove when you are getting into ISB is, why is an MBA important for your career path? Why do you want to do MBA? What are your short-term and long-term career goals? What kind of role, position, company do you want to get into right after MBA? Maybe 10 years down the line, where do you see yourself, and how can an MBA from ISB specifically play a role in helping you achieve your career goals? I cannot emphasize this enough that this is a very, very important question. And I know this obviously because I have myself gone through the process, but also I have interviewed as an alum, I've interviewed a lot of incoming students as well. So there's a lot of weightage for this question, and this story should really be strong and convincing. If you have a really good profile, but you have a very weak why MBA story, then there's a very good possibility that you might be rejected. So definitely keep that in mind, but otherwise, this is all that I wanted to share in this video. I'll leave a few links in the description box and in the first comment maybe on some of the essay frameworks, etc. that I have, because I know you guys are just starting for the applications of ISB for this year itself. Check them out. If you find them helpful, then do opt for them as well. And that's about it. If you found it helpful, definitely hit the like button and help push this video out to more and more people. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already, because a lot of MBA MBA content, essay frameworks, everything related to MBA decisions, I discuss on this channel. So that's about it, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Till then, bye.